Guys, we've got breaking news. Amazon have dropped brand new footage from The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, featuring Meteor Man, a bunch of people standing around looking up at the sky, the first look of the Ents, and a Númenórean queen, and so much more, so let's break it down. But as always, before we start, if you're a fan of Tolkien, or what Amazon are doing, make sure you subscribe. I will be covering it all on the channel, and of course when the episodes drop on September the 2nd. So yeah, Amazon are finally doing something with the Rings of Power again. They've dropped brand new footage, and they have promised a longer teaser on the 14th of July. And of course they will be at Hall H at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, from Thursday the 21st of July to Sunday the 24th. They're doing a panel where the cast and crew, the showrunners, writers, whoever, directors, they'll all be there, and we'll probably get a full trailer. But let's talk about today's trailer, the teaser. And honestly, it's a bit meh. Generic fantasy 101. It just doesn't feel like Tolkien. If you ask a fan, what is this? They probably don't know. There's nothing in this teaser that screams The Lord of the Rings. I get it, they're keeping a lot secret, but honestly, they could tease a ring or two, or at least show something memorable. But I will admit, there are a couple elements in this teaser that I find interesting. But like I said, it's a lot of people standing about, looking up at the sky. Does that mean episode 1 is just going to be 60 minutes of every character seeing this fallen meteor? But yeah, jokes aside, we're probably going to see something like that. And I think this is to emphasise the fact that everyone can see the red sky, and it will soon affect everyone in Middle-earth. And I think the Meteor Man has to be Sauron. I've been saying this for months, it just has to be. But yeah, let's take a look at this scene by scene, let's break it down. We will jump about a bit, and we'll try and group stuff together, so bear with me. But it starts off with a few landscape shots, including the village of Tir-Harad and its tower. Tir-Harad is a brand new Amazon made up location somewhere in the southeast of Middle-earth, where a brand new elven character, Arondir, is based out of. And I think it's pretty obvious that Tir-Harad is going to be the first target for Sauron, and many fans are saying this is going to be the land of Mordor one day. I'm not really bothered about brand new characters, especially these elves and all that, but the land becoming Mordor is pretty interesting. It emphasises the corruption of Sauron and how ordinary folk are affected. Next up, we have Lenny Henry's character, the Harfoot, Sadok Burrows, another brand new Amazon original. And he actually speaks. He says the skies are strange, referring to the meteor. Even the Harfoot see the arrival of the Meteor Man. In fact, they seem to be the first to interact with him, which we will get to in a bit. And an unknown character moves her hand over a book. Kind of feels like they're searching for answers. Perhaps answers to the meteor, because it's not something you see every other day in Middle-earth. But I don't think there are any answers because it's not a natural phenomenon. This meteor is carrying something special across the skies of Middle-earth. Like I said, it has to be Sauron. His spirit is coming back to Middle-earth to become the new Dark Lord. Next up, we have the Elven Kingdom of Lindon and High King Gil-galad, Elrond by his side. And I made a video recently where the actor who's playing Gil-galad describes him as a father figure for Elrond, a mentor. Because remember, Elrond, during the War of the Last Alliance, is the herald of Gil-galad, and Gil-galad entrusts him with the Ring of Power Vilya before he dies. And I think most of Gil-galad's character is going to help shape Elrond into the elf we know from the Third Age, as this Elrond is younger, and he's looking to make a name for himself. Luckily for him, he has a very famous lineage. We also get a shot of Elrond and Celebrimbor with a couple elven guards. And like I said, if the Meteor Man is Sauron, this is a big deal, as Celebrimbor is the one who is ultimately manipulated into forging Rings of Power. Gil-galad, Galadriel, and so many others don't trust Annatar, but Celebrimbor does, and thus the course of history is changed forever. And speaking of Galadriel, she's on a boat with other elves, maybe witnessing the meteor fall, or some people argue she is witnessing the light of the two trees, which was the first picture released by Amazon. And because it's gulls, it reminds you of the Annie Lennox song from Return of the King, Into the West, where she sings, "Why do the white gulls call?" So perhaps this scene is from the prologue, where Galadriel is in the west. Or it might just be another shot of people watching the meteor. The simple clothes, the boats, and the gulls make me think it is the west, but I'm 50-50, but I'm leaning more and more into her seeing the meteor, because that's the whole theme of this teaser. It only makes sense that everyone is watching the meteor. But of course, like I always say, trailer trickery. Not everything that goes into trailers makes it into the show, and trailers are cut in a certain way for marketing reasons, and it doesn't always play out that way in the actual episodes. So yeah, moving on, we have the human Bronwyn, who is the mother of Theo, that little boy that is carrying that broken sword. She's also the partner of Sylvan Elf Arondir, I believe. And really, I'm not feeling this relationship. It just feels like a knockoff of Aragorn and Arwen. Even the Tariel Kili stuff all over again. But I'll see what they do with it. Perhaps it's a forbidden love. The people of the elves and the men in the east and the south, they don't believe in this, and they're drove apart. Maybe they're drove apart by war, Sauron's invasion. But really, these made-up characters, I'm not that bothered about them. I want to see Círdan, Celeborn, Celebrimbor, Elendil, Isildur, Gil-galad, Elrond. All these established legendary figures of Tolkien. But we're getting Arondir, Bronwyn, Harfoot, and I just don't care. But speaking of legendary Tolkien figures, here she is, Tar-Míriel, the daughter of Tar-Palantir. She should have been the ruling queen of Númenor. But her cousin Pharazôn took the scepter of Númenor for himself, and thus became the last king of Númenor, Pharazôn the Golden. And this rule of succession not only affects Númenor, but all of Middle-earth, Sauron, in fact the entire world, in the downfall of Númenor. We did see a poster of Pharazôn the Golden, one of those headless posters, but this is the first look of Númenor royalty in full. I do enjoy the gold and blue aesthetic, it kind of fits in with Pharazôn, and it's honestly about time they showed something of Númenor. Remember back to the teasers with the maps years ago, the final map revealed Númenor in the Second Age, and we thought Númenor would be a huge part of the marketing. It should be a major focus, because that is one of the elements alongside the rings and Sauron, legendary figures and all that people care about. Not brand new characters and stuff fans don't care about. And yet, we've had maybe 5 seconds of Númenor. So yeah, more meteor. We can see it in a forest, which is a shot from the trailer. But you'll notice the first look of an Ent. Has to be an Ent. So even the Ents are witnessing the Meteor Man. Like I said, this is all emphasising everyone is affected by Sauron. Not just the elves and the Númenorians. But speaking of the Harfoots, we finish up with Nori. Eleanor Brandyfoot, who seems to be the main Harfoot. She witnesses the Meteor Man crash wherever they are currently located. Remember, the Harfoots are nomadic people, so they're likely in the east. And from the trailer that was released at the Super Bowl, we know that she meets the old bearded man who emerges from the fire. And I think that is Sauron in one of his many disguises. Like, who else could it be? Who else is that important and affects everyone? It can't be Tom Bombadil, it can't be a blue wizard, it has to be Sauron. Everyone is watching him burn through the skies of Middle-earth. And my theory for months and months, if not longer, has been that Sauron appears as the old man to the Harfoots because that feels familiar to them and they trust him. They take care of him. And then to the elves, he appears as an elven-like, lordly figure, Anatar. To the orcs, he appears as a corrupted elf, Adar. Every form he takes feels familiar to his hosts, to gain their trust. And season 1 is basically us trying to guess who Sauron is. There'll be like 3 or 4 possibilities. Turns out he is all of them. And that's kind of interesting. Kind of gives you the whole whodunit mystery kind of vibe. But for now, make sure you post your thoughts on the brand new teaser. For me, it's a bit meh. Like I said, there's just nothing standing out. Very little dialogue, but some nice shots. Nothing really to get us excited. Couple interesting elements like Númenor and the Ents. But of course, I won't make any judgments until I see a full trailer with dialogue and story implications. And of course, my final judgment comes when I see the episodes. Yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more videos and I'll see you soon.